Okay, what I'm going to do now is go in and do a back rig. Back rig here, let's just turn off some stuff, and that one's my geometry layer. I'm just going to go in and geo layer. Okay, great. And I'm just going to hide that. I should probably include the head in that layer, so I'm just going to go up to the head group and right click, add selected objects, and this one here, it's my blend shape layer. I'm just going to quickly clean up a couple things. I always type the word layer at the end of it just so that I know. And no, that's some good spelling there, Bob. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, and so what I want to do is I want to control the back. And to control the back, I'm going to need some, some people like using these locator things. If I get too many of these locators in here, I hate that. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to use NURBS curves. I'm going to go and use the Create CV Curve tool, and let's take a look on one linear. The first controller I'm going to make here is I'm going to make one that's going to control everything. And I typically like making little symbols and stuff. And if I just hold down X when I'm drawing, I can quickly go in. Come on! Why is it? It's lagging a little bit. Okay, great. And I always kind of make this funny little symbol that looks in all directions, and that to me represents some kind of God type symbol. Okay, and there we go. Just going to make it a bit bigger. I'm just going to kill the history, freeze the transformations, and I'm going to call this one here God. Boop. You can call it master controller, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Next little controller I want is I want something for the waist here, and I want something I can grab from all angles quite easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'll create a NURBS circle. Okay, let's make my NURBS circle big, and let's go over here and I'm just going to hold down V, and I can drag that up here and snap it here to the waist. Okay. And that one there, I can kind of figure it out. If I make too many NURBS circles here in the back, it's going to screw up my brain. Let's just call this one here upper body. And so, instead of using a bunch of NURBS circles over and over again, I'm going to go in and let's do another one that I like to do quite a bit. Polygons. If I use a polygon cube, now the cube is, it might render, there's some other things in there. If I want to make it so I can just select, just say, there's a little filter up top in here for just selecting just curves. So if all of my controllers are curves, I'm going to be a bit happier, easier to work with. And so if I go in here and I use the CV Curve tool again, and I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to go to wireframe so you can see what the heck I'm doing. If I hold down V, I can go in and I can snap my points to my CV Curve to this polygon cube, and when I do that, I hit enter. There, I've got a little NURBS cube, or curve cube, or whatever you want to call it. The NURBS cube sucks, okay, and the square inside of here sucks to the NURBS square. You want to make your own little curve like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take this, what time are we at? 3:46, okay, good. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to middle click, snap it up here, and let's just make that big. And I'm going to bring back the geo so I can see what the heck I'm doing. Here, here, something I can grab easily from all angles, and I kind of quickly know this big circle, that's going to be the upper body. This thing here is going to be my hip control. So let's go in here and give that a name. Hip control. Okay, freeze the transformations, kill the history. Great. That's going to get rid of that geo. And then I want to move my upper body too. I want like some kind of shoulder control. Man, I'm going to scale it a little bit. If I go in here and I make a duplicate and I move it up, I don't want to move it up to here because basically this area here on my character, when I look at it, this is rib cage. The rib cage doesn't bend too much. So what I want to do is I'm just going to hold down V and I'll move it up to say there. Okay. And this bone here, when I move it, when I rotate it and stuff, it looks a little bit better than if I was to go up and then do a boop here. Doesn't look quite right. Doesn't move the torso right. Doesn't we got a rib cage. It won't happen. So let's go and start hooking these up. And I forgot to name this thing. This isn't a hip control. This is a shoulder control. Okay, and I'm going to freeze the transformations on it. Great. And what I want to do is I'm just going to take the circle first here. That's going to be my upper body. And if I select this root joint last, and I go here and I'm going to use something called a constraint. I'm going to use a thing called a parent constraint. This is going to keep the curve off of the, or the skeleton off of the hierarchy of the curve. You don't want that. And you'll see that it's turned everything blue over here in the channel box. That means it's got a constraint on it when it's blue. Woo! Okay, and I grabbed both the skeleton and this. I should have just grabbed that. Okay, there we go. And so that's going to move around the upper body. And if I go and I grab the move tool, okay. It's not moving around the shoulder control and or the hip control, so I'm just going to take those and I'm going to select the circle last, or the upper body last. I can press P and parent that. So now when I grab this, it moves around those other controllers. Now these other controllers, I want those to move around the hips here. And so I'm going to grab this and hold down shift and select the hips joint last, or if you can call it the pelvis or whatever you want to call it. And if I go in here and I use constraint again, I'm going to go in and use, I am going to use a parent constraint. I should just be using an orient constraint because it's all really, all you're doing is really rotating it, but whatever, I'll do it. I'm going to do the same thing here. Actually here, I'll just put this on here and just show you what happens. Make sure that it's working. Just grab the controller and it's rotating hips. Great. And then I'm just going to go in, grab the shoulder control, hold down shift, and grab back one. And if I go in here, constrain, parent constraint, done. What are we at? 7 minutes? Okay. There is potentially one other thing you might notice that's kind of cool to have. And I'll just check this out, make sure everything's working. And actually, let's make sure we finish it off before I try and fit an expression into this one. So right now I need to also take the upper body and parent that to God. Boop. So now when I move God, it moves the upper body. The feet also need to follow it around, so I'm just going to go and grab this, grab that, hold down shift and grab that, and press P, and now when I grab God, he's going to move the whole shebang around. Awesome. Okay, let's see if we can fit this last little bit in here. Sometimes it's helpful to have this also rotate just a little bit, just to put a little bit of give in the back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to fit in an expression. If I go to Window, Animation Editors, and I find something in here called the Expression Editor. Okay, it looks something like this. And what I want is I want this bone, I want back 2, the rotate X of back 2. And do this little trick in here. You're going to click that, you can drag it down here and it equals. I want that to equal back 1 dot rotate X. Okay? And you have to make sure this is exact when you write these things. And I might even make it so that it doesn't rotate the full amount. So I'm going to do something like if I go in here and hold down shift and I hit 8, I get a little asterisk, so it's a multiplication. So I can put a 0.5, so it's going to make it half of what it is. And I'm also going to do a little trick here. I'm just going to take this and copy this because I can use it again. Okay? And so now when I go in and I grab this joint, and if I'm rotating it X, you'll notice that it goes at a little bit more than normal. And if I take a look here, and I take a look minus 46 on that one, this one here is sitting at minus 23. So it's going at half the rotation. So it's rotating. Just hold on a second. Am I smoking crack? No, it's all working right. Okay, good. And I'm just going to go in and do the same thing again, but I'm going to do it with the other rotations. And so if I go in here, rotate Y, and I go Control V, and I pop this in, and just take that X out of there, and I paste in a Y, and I do it again over here. And then I hit Create, boop, boop, and I'm just going to do one more of those. There's a rotate Z right in here, and I'm just going to go in here, Control V, and pop this in, replace this X with a capital Z, that one there with a capital Z, and I just hit create, and kaboom, I've got these 3 little purple channels. And when I rotate this, this other one is going to bend slightly, not quite as much. Okay, and we're done the back.